Today, guys, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 2 and its general mechanics, and to tell you what I generally think about this game. And to start things off real quick, why don't we just talk about the swinging of the game. And it is quite different from other games in the Spider-Man series so far, at least. Not completely different, as you can see on screen right now. We still got classic swinging, but they also re-implemented the whole Miles Morales hold square to do a bunch of special tricks and whatever. I get my buttons mixed up all the time. As you can see right there, you can do it to gain combos and whatever, and it actually helps you get a little bit of XP. And they also implemented fall damage if you really want that. You can turn it off if you want to. And they also implemented a swinging little like assistance meter, which can change how much like you want the swinging to help you. They also incorporated when you hold down circle to take like a hard turn, which is really cool. You know, like if you wanted to take a hard turn right there, you could just hold down circle and bing bada boom, you can just take a hard turn, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Alongside that, they also incorporated the web wings, so when you press down triangle, Spider-Man will unleash his web wings, which will help him fly around the city essentially. The controls are a little wonky in my opinion, but it is completely just whatever, and it doesn't really affect gameplay too horribly. Like, they didn't force it down your throat. It feels naturally incorporated into the major gameplay and major flow of the game, which is how I'd like to see many elements implemented, and they have a lot of things around the map to make it work well. For example, if you were to go on one of the bridges to go over to, let's say for example Brooklyn or whatever, you can't really easily swing across there, so you can just use your web wings to basically fly across there. There's also an ability where if you hold down R2 and X, you can charge up a jump to send you flying up into the air. It isn't like flying like with the web wings as you can see on screen right now. It's more like just a charge jump, which is really helpful in some cases, just in case you want to just automatically gain elevation or whatever. You know, it's really helpful. But like I was saying, you got wind tunnels, you got a lot of stuff that they incorporated into the game. So like I said, you use your web wings to go across the bridge and whatever to make traversal feel a little faster, because they got wind tunnels which make you go zooming and whatever. You can do loop-the-loops now that literally send you flying in the air. That is an upgrade that you will have to obtain and whatever, but in my opinion, it's a worthwhile trade. Let's be completely honest, just a couple hours of the game where you gotta spend to get there, it's worth it. It's a nice upgrade. You also got two abilities that help you like make traversal a lot better, where you press L1 and then triangle or X that help you, you know, fly up into the air further or something like that. And the swinging is no different for Miles. It's just swinging, which if I had to give swinging a rating in this game, it would be a solid 10 out of 10. Sure, it isn't perfect, I'm gonna be honest, but in my opinion, for a Spider-Man game, this is probably the best that it gets, unless they find a way to improve it in Spider-Man 3, if that ever comes out or whatever. But if they do, it is definitely a nice improvement. I don't know, it is a lot more faster, and this is completely unscripted, I'm just saying whatever comes to mind, so sorry if like I forget something or whatever, but like I said, it's a lot faster than the first game. I remember yesterday, my brother, I let him beat the first game. He hasn't beat it yet, but he's just playing through it. He's like right after the part where, spoiler warning, Miles' dad dies and whatever. So, you know, when I let him play the sequel, he was like, wow, this is a lot faster, and it was kind of hard for him to control because of how fast it was. But yeah, you can see right there, there's a lot of new mechanics that they incorporated to make swinging a lot more fun, a lot more faster. When I went back to Spider-Man 1, it was almost impossible, quite literally, because I felt like there was so much missing, and it was so dry, because all you can really do in that game is swing. Here, when you're swinging, you can fly around, you can do tricks, you can go around corners. It's a lot more fun in this game, if I had to be completely honest. But like I said, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But if I had to give it a genuinely, completely critical opinion on it, it'd probably be a 9. But if I'm just letting my just unbiased opinion come by, it's a 10. But if I had to be critical of it, it's probably a 9. And this may differ if you grew up with Spider-Man 2 or the Ultimate Spider-Man games, where back then, if you couldn't tell, they were a lot more realistic apparently, and like, you know, you can also change that with the swing assist. But if you grew up with those games, you're gonna hate Insomniac's normal swinging if you don't turn off swing assistance. But if you didn't grow up with those games, then this is perfect for you, okay? I'm gonna be honest, when I played this game, or not this game, but before this game came out, I played Spider-Man 2 for the first time, the original one back on the GameCube and whatever, and I really didn't like how it felt. And I didn't like its realistic swinging. I thought it just simply was not fun. Either way, I still would give this web swinging a solid 10 out of 10. It genuinely does feel almost perfect in every way I can think of, but if I had to genuinely nitpick, then reasonably a 9 out of 10. Anyway, on to the next subject of the game. Here we have the suits, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't like a lot of them, at least for Peter. Most of them for Miles I would say are pretty alright, but most of them I'm not sticking to for an insanely long time. But yeah, most of the suits that I like are either story progression suits such as the 3 Venom suits, or the Arachnite suit, which was the pre-order suit. I thought that looked really clean on Miles, and the Peter Parker version, I didn't really like any of the colors except for the blue one, and I would have gone for the black one if it didn't have that disgusting orange on it, but otherwise, I think that most of the suits are perfectly fine, except for like maybe like 3 of them, and most of them are unlocked strictly by doing side missions. The ones I don't like, actually, I think I don't like any of the side mission ones, but the ones that you just get for normal progression, I think are all perfectly fine. Although, I will admit, sometimes when I look at the side profile of some of the suits, Peter looks extremely flat. Like, he doesn't look muscular at all. Like, the default Venom suit from the main story, you know, the first one that you get, if you look at his side profile, he does not look muscular at all. And I think he actually looks quite weak. But besides that, I genuinely do think that these suits are actually amazing. But if I had to be looking at this objectively, I'd give this a 8 out of 10 in my opinion. Some of the suits look outstanding, some of them look pretty alright, some of them look terrible, and some of the color options just felt like they incorporated them just because they needed another color. But yeah, besides that, don't really got much else to say about the suits. Let's get on to the next subject of the day. So now we're going to be talking about general abilities. Nothing crazy, but nothing like stupid or useless or whatever. So why don't we get into this? So beyond your movement abilities, I guess, why don't we actually talk about like Peter and Miles' general abilities? So first things first, we got the classic good old classic jump, and alongside that we got the dodge and whatever. We can classically move around. You can hold R2 to run and whatever, and you got web abilities where if you hold R1 you can press like a corresponding facepad button and send out a specific ability, although they did do away with the web wheel and get rid of a lot of the web abilities that I did like, but besides that, this is currently at least perfectly fine. And when we get into combat, there is a couple new things that we can do. If you hold both sticks down, or just click them down I guess, you enter the Venom Surge, which makes you super powerful and allows you to just beat the hell out of all the enemies. It felt most amazing when he had the normal Venom suit in the story mode. He felt powerful, he felt evil, demonic almost, and whatever. Alongside that, you could also hold not R1, but L1 and press one of the corresponding facepad buttons and do a special ability. For example, here I did that ability, which is if you hold L1 and triangle if you have that specific ability selected, or you could do L1 and then square, which just punches your enemies or whatever, but you can change them with other abilities and whatnot if you want to. I changed them to mostly anti-venom abilities and whatever, just because I thought, I'm saying and whatever a lot, I realize, but just because I thought the ability felt nice to use, I guess, I don't really know, but you can choose whatever ability you decide to use. You can use, what's it called, you can use, I forgot what it was called, the freaking, the arachnid legs or whatever, the freaking legs that he can, those legs, the spider legs that he has, you can use those as abilities if you really want to. Alongside all of that I just mentioned, you can also parry enemies' attacks, which they don't really do because I'm not exactly great at that, but you can if you truly want to. You can also heal, but I don't really like what they do with the healing system, how you have to have a full bar of focus to heal instead of just, as long as you have some focus you can use the ability, which I didn't really like that much if I had to be completely honest, but that doesn't matter. Overall, combat so far, I would say a solid 9 out of 10. Last game was definitely an 8 out of 10. This one, solid 9 out of 10. They did a lot of improvements, and with all the new abilities that you can do, they feel amazing. And also, here's me attempting to parry, and that was a successful parry right there, but ignoring that, yeah, that's the combat and, you know, general moves, I guess. I don't know if I mentioned this, but you know, the R1 abilities, mostly webs, or if you just tap the R1. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this part specifically, but if you just tap R1, you can just use an ability, not an ability, but you can just web an enemy up or whatever, or in this case, web up a fire so that it can stop the fire and all that. But besides that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything I have to mention about combat in general. Mobility, not mobility. Well, I guess I already mentioned all the mobility options, but whatever. Miles also has a couple of his own abilities where he has his electric abilities, where instead of Peter's either octopus-like things, I don't freaking know, or his venom abilities, you can just press L1 and use Miles's electric abilities, which are pretty fun. They are pretty good. They were returning from the last game, and if I had to be completely honest, it isn't insanely different, but it does give a little bit of variety and maybe some incentive to use a different character if you just like Miles's electric abilities. They do have a effect on Sandman enemies, but you don't really see that much throughout the game. But if you are fighting Sandman or whatever, use Miles because that makes it a lot more easier. Similarly to how Peter can use his anti-venom stuff to do more damage against venom enemies and whatever. And you can also do finishers. I completely forgot to mention that, but you can do finishers by pressing triangle and circle, which just takes out most enemies in one hit. And sometimes just right there, you can see did a finisher right there. Or you can do like a pretty hard blow on some harder enemies, which don't get finished by them, but you know, still take a crap ton of damage. And like I said, 9 out of 10 for combat. But anyway, I'm assuming this is the last I have to say about combat. And now we have collectibles. Collectibles aren't anything crazy, they're just classic collectibles. You got main mission, Marco memories, you got photo ops, you got the Amazing Spider-Man app, you got Prowler stashes, you got flame missions, you got Brooklyn Vision missions, and you got EMF missions or experiments, and you got the Hunter blinds and whatever. None of them are anything crazy, they're just kind of collectibles you can do. For some reason it doesn't show the Spider Bot missions, and there's probably one else that isn't appearing, but either way, still just collectibles you can collect or missions that you can do. Here's the fast travel times, and they are quite quick, although you can only fast travel onto roads, which if you can see here, that just moves it to a road, which isn't anything bad. It's a fair requirement, but I'm one of the people who think that maybe while you're holding down a triangle, it just does a small loading screen, but I know for a fact that the PS5 can do quick load time, so it doesn't really matter that much. And yeah, I don't know really what else to say besides the fact that, like I said, you can only spawn a major road. So you can see here I just tried spawning on top of the building, but no, it pushes it toward a normal road, which is perfectly fine, fair requirement, and I think that it's insanely fast, and I really do like it. Alongside all the things I just mentioned, you can also upgrade your suit tech, which can give you more health, more damage. You can alter how your focus bar works, and it could also alter how your traversal is, being faster, being, I don't know, more quick on your feet. I don't really know, but once you upgrade all of them, you're basically insanely overpowered with 200 health rather than 100, and doing like 175 extra damage or whatever. They're all quite very much helpful. And then you also got the gadgets, which do return from the last game, but it's not all the same ones. You got all new ones, and I don't really like most of them. I prefer the ones from the last game mostly, but either way, these are still perfectly fine mechanics, and you can upgrade them all to generally be better and stronger and do more damage against enemies and whatever. And I do think that this is a perfectly fine inclusion just to add a little bit more depth to the game, and I don't really think the removal of the 8 really matters. And also, here are the skills that you can do. It's like Disney Infinity, and it just helps you do more stuff with your character, become more stronger, do more abilities and whatever. And they're nothing crazy. But alongside that, you also have your standard abilities where you press L1 and then press one of the voice buttons, and bing bada boom, you can do one of those. You can change it between 2, and you have to unlock them throughout the story, but either way, yeah. And in my opinion, there isn't really anything you're losing by picking one or the other. I just picked the one that I like the most in most situations and all that. So, you know, you don't have to pick one unless you just simply really want to. And you can also look at all the missions you have or haven't completed, but since I 100% of the game, I've completed them all. And hopefully you can redo missions at some point in time, because kind of having nothing to do besides crimes in the game is just kind of a little bit boring, if I had to be completely honest. But we're going to ignore that. You can look at all the missions that you've done. You get all the ones over here. You know, you can do side missions, the app requests, the Prowler stashes, the flames. Everything that you've done in the game is tracked under missions, which I find very cool and very handy, especially if you ever really need to check what you have or haven't done. But since I have everything done, I don't really need to look, but it's just nice having the option. Alongside that, we also have collectibles, which are things that you can find around the map, and, you know, by doing the freaking Sandman missions, or taking photos around the world, or doing other things like Mysterium Dev Diaries, which you just beat the Mysterium stuff, and then bing bada boom, you unlock little Dev Diaries, I guess. I didn't listen to any of them, but I just thought that they were cool things that you could do. And then the spider bots, you unlock an extra little cutscene to do with them regarding the multiversal stuff, and I think that's also very freaking cool. And you get to have a little spider bot, although they don't change anything and they're just mostly just there to look at and whatever, but it's still cool that they put in the attention to detail to a goddamn spider bot. And you also just got your move list, like this is Mortal Kombat or something like that, you know, you just got a bunch of moves that you can do. It's not really complicated once you get everything down, but at face value, looking at all of this, it may seem complicated, but trust me, it really is not at all. And now why don't we look at the pure beauty of this world? And in my opinion, I don't think a single game has ever done Times Square justice at all. I mean, looking at it, this is Times Square. It's beautiful in this game, at least. Some games do a terrible job, but in my opinion, this is fine, I guess. But if you look at real life photos, this doesn't do all the screens and the lights and in just general, it doesn't really do that much justice to how everything looks. It is really an amazing experience in real life being there. Like, it's something you have to do in real life to experience it. In video games, it does not do it justice at all. I don't know, there's not enough traffic. Unless you're playing in like fidelity mode or whatever, there's nowhere near enough traffic in this game to represent how many people, how much stuff is just in general going on here and all that. It doesn't do it justice, but for video game standards, Times Square in this game is perfect compared to almost any game you've ever played. This is probably the best one. And one thing I noticed is how they have no storefronts, basically. You got Yoshio or whatever the frick, which also don't do the justice to the storefronts, which are also very colorful and very bright and very big. Like, I used to remember that there was a McDonald's place that shut down and then they built a new one. I don't know why, besides the fact that it might have been a little old, but ignoring that, you know, none of these storefronts do any justice to what's there in real life at all, if I had to be completely honest. Like, it is a lot more colorful and whatever, but I guess this is the limitations to making sure everything is evenly beautiful rather than just insanely beautiful but no cars and your character has to look ugly in order to look at all this stuff. But either way, if I had to give the Times Square specifically, I wanted to give this a whole segment, if I wanted to give Times Square specifically a little bit of focus, I would give this a solid 7 out of 10 compared to real life. It does the job, but compared to most games, this is a solid 9 out of 10 compared to literally any other game that I've played with Times Square. Like, for example, The Crew 2 or whatever. This game definitely is the best. And I genuinely think that this game overall is really beautiful. But one thing I also did notice when I was just playing the game is that how does Fortnite got more detail in the screens in the game than this game? Like, you can see that there's individual panels like there is in real life, but like when you look at Fortnite, you can see the individual RGB details where you can see each red, blue, green pixel if you zoom into a screen. But here it's just kind of an image with I don't know, a texture detail to show the individual screen panels, I guess, but you can barely see them either way. So I do have to, I mean, here you can kind of see it, but I'm not entirely sure. It's whatever. Anyway, on to the next thing. General fidelity in this game is genuinely beautiful, if I had to be completely honest. This game actually looks great. Now, in the beginning of the game, I will admit some cutscenes did look pretty ugly, but if you just sit there and look at everything, it genuinely does look beautiful. And this is at the higher frame rate mode, which means that the game won't look as good as if you were playing on fidelity mode, but it still looks pretty damn good, if I had to be completely honest. You can see all the water detail, you can see all the people walking around. There is more cars and more people than there are in the first game, but either way, this game genuinely feels beautiful. And you could also visit other locations from prior games. And you can see places like the Raft, which are very original, exclusive to this game. This isn't in real life, you know, but it's still cool. You can see plot important locations. Now, I don't think in the first game you could actually come here, so it's nice to be able to actually like come and explore here. Now, in the first game, you could come here in a story mission, but when it comes to just swinging around doing whatever you want, you couldn't actually come here. So, alongside that, you can also explore places that were relevant to prior games' plots. Like this place, I remember exploring this area, fighting a bunch of bad guys in Miles Morales, and I remember Miles Morales a lot more because I played it more recently and whatever, but you can see that there is still remnant of damage of us just blowing up this place, playing Miles Morales and whatever, causing all the Tinkerer people harm and whatever, the underground a lot of harm and whatnot. And the game just generally, if you look at the whole scale of it all, just looks beautiful, majestic, outstanding. And now with the extra new locations, you can also get a little bit more normal life, because beforehand, I don't think there were any normal neighborhoods that you could really explore. But as you can see over in the distance, you can explore some neighborhoods in this game, which is something you couldn't do before. There's a lot more forests, there's a lot more natural life and everything like that, and it is all just beautiful to take in. In retrospect, I probably should have recorded this with the in fidelity mode, so like it looks better and all that, just to give the game full justice as much as I could possibly give the game justice. But ignoring all of that, the game still looks amazing. But one weird thing I noticed is that if you look at Miles' foot, it is just completely at an angle that is completely unrealistic. Like at the end of the shot, if you like give it a couple seconds, but you can be able to see Miles' foot, and it does not look comfortable at all. It's the only gripe I have to say. His foot doesn't look happy. Like give it a second, Look at that. What is up with his foot? It is sniffing up on his knee, or his, basically as close as it could get to his knee. But like I said earlier, you can still explore locations from prior games, and you can see what happened in the prior game, or at least them trying to repair the damages of what happened in the last game. If you don't know, this is the final location in Miles Morales, so you can see all the construction going on trying to fix what happened and all that, you know. And I genuinely think that them adding all this extra stuff, extra detail to the world. They could have just imported it from the last game and just say, oh, they fixed it in between games, but no, they're showing it still be at damage. I don't know what the frick happened to that cement thingy. It just kind of disappeared. But besides that, you know, you can see the prior locations in the games. Well, I guess that's where it went. But you can see the what happened in the last game being repaired and whatever, so you genuinely feel like this is a real world, because I feel like it would take them a little while to repair the damages of the last game, and it makes sense that when this game takes place, which is a couple months after Miles Morales, I can understand them, you know, repairing it and all that. If I had to be honest, like completely dead honest, with like everything I have to say about this game, the story is near perfect. I'm gonna be so honest, and this is like the most honest I've been with anything in my entire life. The story in this game is near perfect. It is amazing. It was fun. It was compelling. The conflict was outstanding. The side missions did get a little boring at times, and I didn't really care about some of them. But other side missions, for example, the flame missions or the Mysterio missions, I did find fun. Although the Mysterio missions had kind of a boring story, but the flame missions were absolutely outstanding, especially at the end. At the beginning they were interesting, in the middle point they got me a little curious, and I'm pretty sure I didn't live stream it, but I did predict the ending of it, which I feel outstanding that I was able to do. But besides that, the story is literally amazing. I freaking love it, okay? And I thought that the challenge, the conflict, the pushing through to the end was outstanding and amazing. The story, honestly, a 10 out of 10. I'm genuinely so happy with how it came out and what happened in the game and everything that happened. Let me think of a couple of good examples. Like, for example, when Peter gets the symbiote off of him for the first time, and he's like, holy crap, I need to get the hell rid of this or whatever. I'm gonna be completely honest. When Mr. Crippled Harry over there decided to be like, come on, dude, please give it to me. I need it, please, and whatever. I genuinely kind of felt bad. I understood his perspective. All he saw was his best friend had so much fun with something that he needed to live, and when he finally wants it back, he won't give it to him because he needs to get rid of it. Because from Harry's perspective, he probably sees, if I can't have it, no one can have it. Which that's what he's thinking, which is the motivation for him to despise and want to kill Peter out of pure rage, because that's what he thinks, that's what he sees. And I'm gonna be honest, it kind of makes me feel bad for Harry, because he, as far as I'm sure, he didn't get the full context to what was going on. All he knew was that his friend had something that he really needed, and the second that he gets rid of it, he's like, no one can have this, get rid of this. That makes me feel kind of bad for him, because he doesn't know, he was not aware of what was actually going on. And I will admit, they did do away with a couple characters quickly. This is a change of subject, but they did kind of do away with a lot of characters early on in the game, and they kind of did Dr. Connors completely dirty in this game. Everybody was treating him like a dick, whatever, but it's whatever. But like I was saying, they kind of got rid of characters like the Vulture, Scorpion, Shocker, really just out of nowhere. And I know for a fact that's just them trying to show how powerful and how evil and how undefeatable Kraven was, just for him to get killed in 8 seconds, basically. You know, and the powerful crap that they did with Mr. Negative or Dr. Negative, I forget his name, is genuinely outstanding. They show Miles having to push through, even though he hates him, even though he took everything from him, he needs to push through for the greater good. He needs to work with him in order to save everyone. And I genuinely think that this game is amazing, delving into everyone's problems, delving into how Peter feels terrible, feels bad about Aunt May's death, and like how he needs to treat freaking Mary Jane better and all that, you know. I feel like they show everything amazingly, and the game starts with a bunch of characters, and all those characters completely changed by the end of the game, and I genuinely find that outstanding and amazing. I freaking loved the story in this game. It was outstanding, it was amazing. Venom was outstanding. That 1 minute of gameplay where you got to play as him was outstanding. Random, but outstanding. I freaking loved it. And I'm kind of surprised with how many tiny little extra gameplay moments they just kind of threw in for no reason. Like when you ride a bicycle or play as freaking Haley or whatever. It's all random. There was no real reason to do it, but who cares? Who cares? But I really do love the plot. I do think it's amazing. 10 out of 10, obviously. But I genuinely don't think that any review is going to give this game full justice. You have to play it to experience it. And I'm going to be honest, the game having a 90 on Metacritic, but like Mario having a 93 is absurd. There's a difference between having fun on a simple platformer and these guys developing a masterpiece on all fronts, okay? If I had to be completely honest, Mario does not deserve to be anywhere near better. How did Mario, like, I'm a Mario fan, but like how the hell did that movie, not the movie, the game review better than the freaking Into the Spider-Verse? How did this game review better than Across the Spider-Verse? This game, both the games. And I genuinely found it very interesting and very cool that the game actually did review better, but at the same time, I feel like if it wasn't for Xbox people or just people generally just nitpicking at this game, then I'm gonna be completely honest, if it wasn't for that, I feel like the game would have had a much higher review. But at the same time, I feel like everyone's dogpiling on this game specifically because it had the most hype and because it's a PlayStation exclusive. And I'm gonna be completely honest, I've been honest this entire review, okay? But objectively, there are some things that I'm kind of ignoring, like some parts that I thought were annoying of the game. Like this boss fight right here kicked my butt. Like there were a lot of hard moments in this game. I didn't really like the parry system and whatever, but when I look back at this game, I honestly completely forget those moments up until right now. I completely forget those moments. They completely left my mind not because like I'm denying that they ever happened, but because they genuinely, the rest of the game completely overshadowed all the problems that people are just loving to make the whole purpose of the game, to make it sound like it's terrible and whatever. And reviews like freaking the dude who, I forgot his name, like Spider-Man Fan Productions or whatever. I forget his name. Let me go pull it up right now. Sorry if this takes a minute or whatever, but give me a second. Amazing PSM. That dude did not do this game justice. In my opinion, he was kind of nitpicking on the game a lot. Even though he's a Spider-Man fan, his whole personality is Spider-Man, whatever, but I feel like he genuinely was rubbing this game through the dirt, if I had to be completely honest. Like, for example, like, he was talking about how the swinging wasn't realistic or whatever, and I'm trying to play a superhero game, okay? I'm trying to play a superhero game. I'm not trying to play a super realistic game, and it's probably because he grew up with the more realistic Spider-Man games, like Spider-Man 2, the original one, and Ultimate Spider-Man, whatever. Those games were a lot more realistic when it came to its swinging, which, from that perspective, I can understand. If you're used to that and think that's fun and good, then sure, but in my opinion, the new swinging is amazing and insanely fun, whatever. And I love how when Peter and Miles fight and just the jolt back to the plot and everything like that. I love how when they fight and everything, like it's genuinely like Miles does so much in this game as just trying to help Peter, and he does so much that he doesn't have to do, but he just does just to help him because he knows that without Peter, then the world is, at least New York, is completely screwed without him, okay? Let's all be completely honest. And this fight with Mr. Negative, at the end, I was genuinely surprised because, like, he saved his life, basically, and whatever. And this moment right here that's on the screen, probably my most suspense throughout the game, because I thought Miles was actually going to die and whatever. But look, I'm jumping around. My ADHD is going crazy right now. This game's amazing. The plot was fun. It was outstanding. I genuinely think that if you have a PlayStation 5, get the game right now. If you have an Xbox or a PS4, you need to swap consoles right the hell now. You are missing out by not playing this game. And if you're one of the people that are just hating on this game just because it's Xbox, your tainted perspective is gonna genuinely freaking completely ruin the game. I'm gonna be completely honest. If you aren't open to playing the game right now, then you're probably never going to enjoy the game. I'm being completely honest. If you don't think that this game is going to be good, you probably won't end up playing the game and thinking that it's good, okay? I'm going to be honest. If, like, for example, if I think that, if I walk into the FNAF movie with an insane amount of bias towards the fact that the movie's just going to suck, then I'm going to leave the movie thinking that it sucked, ignoring all the good moments and just only remembering the bad moments, okay? Like, I watched the movie, I thought it was a perfectly fine, nothing crazy movie, but if I had a bias against FNAF, then I would leave the movie absolutely despising it, all that. But because I didn't leave the movie like that. I'm just saying, for example, if you don't think the movie's gonna be good, or if you don't think that this game's gonna be good, then you probably won't leave with good expectations, okay? But if you don't really have an opinion on it yet, get it right now. I might have just spoiled a lot of moments in the story, but genuinely, get the damn game. It is outstanding. Okay, I've said this 1700.3 times. I'm going to be completely honest. This game is outstanding. I've spent like 15 minutes just talking about the story, and it is genuinely outstanding. I spent like almost 40 hours. I was gonna say 39 hours, but basically 40 hours on this game, and I spent like 25 of those 100% completing it. So the fact that I spent like 20 hours almost doing other crap just shows how fun and how amazing the game genuinely is. If you have the money, go get it right now. I'm being so honest. I pre-ordered the game like last month, and I'm being so honest, that was the best money decision I had ever made. Now, we'll be honest, the homecoming mission made me kind of want a huge refund. That one mission completely made me hate the game for a couple of minutes, but besides that, this game is outstanding. In my opinion, it improves on everything that the last game did. Now, there are some people who are just biased toward the last game because it was the first thing like it, so because they weren't expecting something amazing, they just will always think of that game above it. But if you're just looking at these games, both of the games objectively, there's nothing that the last game did that was objectively, factually, there's nothing that the last game did that it was better at, if I had to be completely honest. In my opinion, they do everything better in this game. But there are some people, like I said, freaking the guy just mentioned 8 seconds ago, PSM, whatever the hell, he thought the last game was better, I think. Don't quote me on that, that might have been someone else. But he thought the last game was better, mainly, I don't know why. He just said it might have been better. It might have been someone else. Don't quote me on this. I'm just saying someone said that the last game was better. I don't know why. I don't think they even stated why, besides the fact that it was... I actually don't even know. But besides that, this game's outstanding. It's so fun. It's so amazing. Please play it as soon as possible. Insane spoilers, I will be honest. But besides that, this game is genuinely amazing. And it is like 6 p.m. So this is pretty late for me to be on the final part of uploading a video. But whatever. I'm pretty sure that's all I have to say. This game is genuinely outstanding. 10 out of 10 game overall, in my opinion. Objectively, like 9.5, but we're gonna ignore that. Anyway, guys, hope you guys had fun. I definitely did. I'm seeing you guys in the next video. Have an amazing day. 10 out of 10 game. Bye. Bye.